Stocks trade a tad softer despite the carnage in US equities overnight as a fear of recession in the US starts to blow over. Realty and energy are the big gainers, even as IT and financials drag.
IndusInd Bank stock slumps after it discloses incorrect derivative accounting concealed a loss of over 2,100 crore rupees pre-tax. This move coming soon after the RBI approved only a one-year term extension to the CEO that spooks investors. The stock down 23%.
Morgan Stanley's Rhythm Desai tells CNBC-TV18 that relative valuations of Indian stocks are attractive and earnings downgrades lower than the world. He sees the current uncertain environment as a good time to invest for high long-term returns.
American economist Ken Rogoff calls Trump's tariffs a terrible idea, saying that they hurt the country imposing it the most. He, however, sees low likelihood of a US recession, sees India as a bright spot in the world. You're watching us here on Halftime Report. We come to you live from the CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal studio. I'm Mangalam Malu, with me Hormas Patakia. It could have been a much worse day in today's trading session given the sort of close that we saw on Wall Street. But we're saved the blushes because of two reasons. One, we'd already seen an underperformance versus global indices earlier. And secondly, yesterday towards the last hour of trade, we did see a decline on the Nifty. So all things said and done, we did see a recovery from the lows on the frontline index. The only index which is underperforming today is the Nifty Bank, and that's got nothing to do with the globe. It's got our own problems, and in specific, those problems are that of IndusInd Bank, which is down 23% odd. So all said and done, a decent day for Indian trading session after a big drubbing that we saw all of yesterday. But let's go across to the first management that we've lined up for you on the show today. It's J. Kumar Infra Projects, to decode their order book picture and, more importantly, the opportunity that would come by from the recent Maharashtra budget that was announced just yesterday. Jagdish Gupta, who's the executive chairman at J. Kumar Infra Projects, joins in. Thanks a lot, Mr. Gupta. You know, the Maharashtra budget, a bunch of announcements were made yesterday. Any surprise, and what kind of opportunities does it open up for you in terms of order inflow?
देखिए, मैं हिंदी में बोलूंगा, चलेगा ना?
बिल्कुल, जब तक आप नंबर्स बोलें, किसी भी भाषा में बोलें, सही होगा।
हाँ, मैं हिंदी में बोलना चाहूँगा। देखिए, मैंने पेपर में भी पढ़ा है, 2 दिन से, कल से सब पेपर में आया, एंड आई एम वेरी हैप्पी, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ महाराष्ट्र ने सबसे बड़ा पहल, उन्होंने इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को दिया है, जो कि बहुत ही सराहनीय कदम है, क्योंकि उसकी वजह से ही सभी इकोनॉमिक में फर्क पड़ेगा। चाहे आप उसका ये जो मकान वगैरह बनाते हैं, जिसको आप बनाते हैं कि रियल एस्टेट, या ये इसमें नौकरी पेशे में, या लोगों को जॉब मिलेगा, देशवासी खुशहाल होंगे, स्टेट वाले खुशहाल होंगे, सभी चीजों का बिंदु अगर है तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है। और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में ऐसी चीजें उन्होंने वो डिक्लेयर की हैं जो कभी सोचा भी नहीं था। और उसके लिए हिंदुस्तान में इतने कॉन्ट्रैक्टर जस्ट लाइक जे कुमार, ऐसी कंपनियां हैं जो इस बोझ को अपने कंधे पे उठा के आराम से आगे चल सकती हैं। तो उसमें कोई सोचने की वो विचार नहीं है कि इतने बड़े बड़े काम कैसे होंगे, इससे भी ज्यादा भी होंगे, गवर्नमेंट निकालेगी। और गवर्नमेंट का ये जो इन्होंने आगे के लिए कदम बढ़ाया है, ये काफी सराहनीय है।
जगदीश गुप्ता साहब, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपसे, आप जुड़े आज हमारे साथ। आपसे यही पूछना चाहूंगा कि ये जो सारे अनाउंसमेंट्स, जो घोषणाएं की गई है बजट में, उससे आपकी कंपनी की ऑर्डर पाइपलाइन पर क्या असर पड़ सकता है, और फिलहाल आपकी करंट ऑर्डर पाइपलाइन कितनी है, अगर इस पर आप थोड़ी सी रोशनी डाल सके तो?
ये करीब 22-25 हजार करोड़ की हमारे पास जो हाथ में काम है वो 22-25 हजार करोड़ के हैं, जो कि हम अगले 3-4 साल में पूरा कर देंगे। साइमल्टेनियसली जो आपने पाइपलाइन में जिसको कहते हैं, जिसके टेंडर हम भर रहे हैं ऑल ओवर इंडिया में, नॉट ओनली महाराष्ट्र, तो भी काफी काम है। और उसके लिए हम पूरे हिंदुस्तान में कहीं भी जाने को तैयार हैं। हमें कहीं भी तकलीफ है, हिंदुस्तान से भारत जाने की हमारी इच्छा नहीं है।
ऑल राइट, जगदीश जी,
काम की कमी नहीं है और काम करने वालों की भी कमी नहीं है माय डियर।
22 से 25 हजार करोड़ की ऑर्डर बुक है। आप मुझे आपकी पाइपलाइन के बारे में कुछ बता सकते हैं? बिकॉज 2 प्रोजेक्ट्स, एक महाराष्ट्र
पाइपलाइन में हमारी इतनी है 22-25 हजार करोड़ के पाइपलाइन में और हैं जो कि हम उसके टेंडरिंग करने को बैठे हैं। हम उसकी तैयारियां सब चल रही हैं।
और वो कब उनके टेंडर्स खुलेंगे और उनके टेंडर्स कब खुलेंगे और उसमें से आपकी ऑर्डर की क्या आशंका है?
2025 में सब टेंडर खुल जाएंगे। 2025 में सब टेंडर खुल जाएंगे।
और आप उनमें से कितने ऑर्डर्स जीतने की उम्मीद रखते हैं?
महीने में आई थिंक अनदर 10,000 करोड़ मिनिमम।
ओके, व्हाट डज दिस डू टू योर FY27 गाइडेंस? आपने एक विजन 2027 दिया था 2 क्वार्टर पहले, वो पिछले 2 क्वार्टर से आपने अपने प्रेजेंटेशन में अपलोड नहीं किया है। वो उसमें एक्सपेक्टेड ऑर्डर बुक 25,000 करोड़ था।
हमने जो आपको जो डिक्लेयर किया था, जिसका कमिटमेंट किया था, उससे ज्यादा ही किया, हमने कम नहीं किया है।
तो अब नया विजन क्या है 2027 का?
नहीं हुए हैं।
तो नया विजन क्या है 2027 का?
27 का भी ये जो इसका 6,000 करोड़ के करीब है मार्च 24-25 का, तो उसका 6,500-7 हजार करोड़ करेंगे हम।
आपकी बेंगलुरु में भी प्रेजेंस है गुप्ता साहब, और
7,000 करोड़ तक चले जाएंगे।
आपकी बेंगलुरु में भी प्रेजेंस आप होने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं।
4-5 बड़े काम हैं जी।
एक आखिरी सवाल जगदीश गुप्ता साहब,
कोई तकलीफ नहीं है
कि कर्नाटक में आप अपनी किस तरह की प्रेजेंस बढ़ाना चाहते हैं? जो जो अनाउंसमेंट्स बजट में वहां पर भी की गई है, वहां पर आपके कितने ऑर्डर्स हैं? आपने कुछ टेंडर्स वहां पर भी दिए हैं? उस पर आप कुछ रोशनी डाल सके?
कर्नाटक में वी आर इन चेन्नई, हम चेन्नई में अब काम कर रहे हैं। करीब 5,000 करोड़ रुपए का काम है।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए।
22 किलोमीटर के 2 बड़े ब्रिज हैं, ब्रिज के ऊपर ब्रिज है और फुल स्पीड से। पहले हमें कुछ डर लगता था कि वहाँ की चेन्नई की लोकल लैंग्वेज प्रॉब्लम होगी, लेकिन वो बिल्कुल भी नहीं हुई हमको। हमारी पूरी टीम पूरी स्पीड से काम कर रही है वहाँ पे, एंड हमको इतनी पूरी आशा है, आई एम श्योर कि हम बिफोर टाइम पूरा करके निकल जाएंगे।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए जगदीश गुप्ता साहब। आपको आने वाले समय के लिए भी शुभकामनाएं। Thank you for sparing time and joining us this afternoon. We take a short break here on Halftime Report. But before we do that, here's some good news for our viewers. India's business news leader is now just a click away. Introducing CNBC-TV18's all-new app, where you get instant access to breaking news, in-depth articles and financial world updates right at your fingertips. And you can download the app from the App Store or the Google Play Store. Or if you can't do that, you can scan the QR code that comes up on your screen just now. And there you can see the QR code. Take a short break. Back on the other side.
Welcome back. You're watching us here on Halftime Report. As I said, we could have been a lot worse, but we've seen recovery from the lows for our own markets, and that's exactly what the mood of the day is as well. The only index which is underperforming today is the Nifty Bank. From the lows of today, the Nifty has actually recovered a good 100 points. So if you look at today's low, that becomes an important reference point to track on the frontline index itself. So the Nifty low of today comes up for you on the screen. That's not all. If you look at the Nifty Bank as well, today's low on the Nifty, 22,315. Nifty Bank, the contribution chart would tell you that the biggest dent has been caused by the IndusInd Bank stock itself, and that's the one that has impacted that index the most. So IndusInd Bank dragging the Nifty Bank down by about 436 points, even as others are doing their bit to support that index itself. From today's low, the recovery that we've seen has given all the bulls a lot of support. So 22,350 put has seen some writing, premium at 73 rupees, and the 22,400 put too is seeing a fair amount of writing. So it is eminent that we will see some support around that 22,300 mark itself, which again coincides with today's low. However, on the way up, these call writers at 22,400 are still fairly active. Given the global weakness, unlikely that the market crosses past 22,550 comprehensively, given the sort of interest that we've seen on the supply side itself. Just a bunch of stocks we'll be keeping an eye out on. I spoke to you about BSE entering F&O ban yesterday, and that it has a lot of long positions have been added on Max Financial and Tata Communications. But look at, a couple of names. We have IndusInd Bank that may enter F&O ban after the big 25% decline that we've seen on the stock today. The other one that is a likely entrant on the F&O ban list would be SAIL, because the open interest has crossed past the threshold limit beyond which the stock goes into a ban. With that, we'll take a short break. On the other side, don't go anywhere. Manisha Gupta joins in with all things commodities.
Welcome back. And IndusInd Bank, the stock of the morning, the stock of the day, is now down 25% from in a single trading session, and that is set to be the biggest drop that the stock has seen on record. A significant erosion in market cap. The stock was down yesterday and down today as well. New lows for IndusInd Bank. But Manisha Gupta now joins in with Kirit Bhansali, the chairman of the Gems and Jewellery Council. Manisha, over to you.
Thank you so much for that, Hormuz. Well, even as the markets see a sell-off, that is various asset class see a decline. Gold continues to see some safe haven buying. So there's a bit of a rebound that we've seen come in for this one. $2,900 an ounce is back into these markets. But what does it really mean for the jewelry industry? And are there enough and more Indian consumers lapping up gold at these current prices is what we will ask Mr. Bhansali. Mr. Bhansali, thank you for joining in. And that really is my first question. While gold is playing a safe haven right now globally, what is it about the Indian markets that you see as a pattern right now? Are people now buying gold jewelry at these levels, and what is the sense that you get?
Yeah, good afternoon, Manisha. No, because of the high volatile in the international market and domestic, we have witnessed about 40% decline in domestic market, and that's big worry for us.
Well, 40% decline in jewelry market, but do you see Indians buying gold as an investment right now? Because we've seen ETFs do well, and perhaps various hybrid mutual funds do well. Do you see a pattern here that people are buying gold but as an investment and not as jewelry?
No, people are not buying as an investment because of the geopolitical situation. They are very, very cautious, and that's the result. We have seen 40% decline in domestic market.
Mr. Bhansali, how is this quarter overall looking to you then in sense of demand? We do, of course, know that the month of Feb and March have been slightly on a weaker side, but do you see this quarter go as negative as well for the industry?
So, Manisha, 2024, April to January, if we compare 2025, we have seen only 2.21% decline in export. But this quarter, we are facing a lot of challenges. This tariff war is going on. The other thing, I think this will settle. This will take another 15 days to settle this tariff war with US. And I'm not very much optimistic about this quarter. Too much geopolitical situation will play an important role in this.
Fair point.
But
yeah.
The best part is that I'm seeing plain studded gold jewelry. We have seen 14.64% increase. That is a good sign.
Okay, and this is in a sense of exports, Mr. Bhansali?
Yes, sense of export. 64% growth we have seen in this studded jewelry.
Okay. Mr. Bhansali, also, how are you looking at various global markets right now? Because I remember speaking to you last year and you said US and China have continued to be weak markets. Now this year, in this quarter itself, are you looking at some of that buying coming back from major two countries or not yet?
I'm seeing little hope from US. And currently, the March show in Hong Kong also shown some good signs. A lot of Chinese buyers were there. I've spoken to a number of exhibitors, and I'm hoping China will also, some demands from China also looking forward.
And when it comes to Middle East, and that clearly has been a stronger market for you all of last year, does that continue to be the same?
I'm very happy to say, Manisha, after the CEPA of UAE in last 3 years, we are seeing growth continuously and hoping for the best. And we are holding one international show on 11, 12, 13 September in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So UAE is we are seeing good growth in UAE.
Mr. Bansali, as GJPC, are you also looking to newer markets here, whether it's within Middle East? I mean, as you said, Saudi Arabia, Jeddah clearly is a newer market for India in that sense. Is GJPC also looking at newer markets right now with two major economies really fighting with tariff wars right now?
Right. So in result that, Manisha, if you are aware that last year I have traveled to Latin America, and our another people are also in touch with Latin America. There is some tax issue that I have already spoken with Commerce Minister, and if it is sorted out, then we are hoping Latin America will be a new good market. My ex-chairman Vipul Shah has also traveled Vietnam and some other countries, Saudi Arabia and all that. We are hoping to explore new markets definitely.
With all of these tariff wars, Mr. Bansali, and with exports having not done so well in the last year, what are the kind of representations or conversations that you've been having with various ministers? Because we do understand that export is one thing that the ministry does want to keep pushing on, and especially gems and jewelry. So is there any concessions, subsidies that you're looking for from government on this?
Yes, we are constantly in touch with government, especially with Commerce Ministry, and Commerce Minister has traveled US. He was there for 5 days,
Right.
and with our good relation with US government counterpart, I'm hoping for the best outcome.
What is your own sense, Mr. Bansali, when it comes to gold
So
prices?
I am seeing that we are getting good response from US, and
Okay.
for the best from US. China, we have recently started with Chai Tao Fook and De Beers. The promotion activity is going on, and the last show of Hong Kong showing some good response from China too. So apart from this, we are trying to explore new markets, as I mentioned, that Latin America, Saudi Arabia and UAE.
Mr. Bansali, also, how are you looking at the gold prices from here on? Most people believe that 3,000 and beyond is what you could be looking at. Are you making any calculations on where the prices could go?
Gold prices depends on two major things. If this political situation settle, if that Russia-Ukraine things get settles, then I don't see any jump in gold price. If the geopolitical situation remains same, the gold price may be very much settled within 3,000. I don't see too much high in gold price.
Okay. Mr. Bansali, I have one final question, and this is on diamonds. And we do understand that last year again was slightly weak for this segment as well. The last quarter perhaps has started to see some pickup. Are you looking at better days ahead for this category also?
Yes. Last month I was in Dubai, and we have seen a lot of interest again in natural diamond. I was witnessing one big auction of star gems. There were 250 viewers were there. And the good thing was that out of this 250, 30, 40, I spoke personally them. They have come back from lab-grown to natural diamond. It's a good sign. It's a good sign.
All right. Mr. Bansali, thank you so much for joining in. Well, that really is the view coming in for the gold prices. Still on the higher side as we go in set of days. But as clearly said, it all is going to be about tariffs and what is it that India and US can come across, sit across table and find a resolution on the kind of exports that India does and whether or not there are going to be tariffs thrown in. So that, of course, is something to be watched out for. But with that, let's go into a short break. When we come back, we'll talk more about markets and stock-specific action on the other side.
Welcome back. Almost into the positive now. Is the index looking to retest the positive territory? It did so a few minutes earlier as well. 22,450, that all important level is back on the Nifty as we speak. So not as bad as feared. In fact, pretty resilient compared to the sell-off that we saw on Wall Street overnight. And of course, you can't not talk about IndusInd Bank, now 25% lower. The stock has seen its biggest single-day drop on record, and it's continuing to extend its losses. There is no let-off from even lower levels now, 670 on the stock. But the drop has come after it disclosed an incorrect derivative accounting, concealed a loss of over 2100 crore rupees pre-tax. Now the move coming soon after the RBI had approved only a one-year term extension to its CEO, and that too has spooked investors. Now let us listen into what IndusInd Bank's MD and CEO Sumant Katpalia had to say on his term extension and the findings of the bank's internal review accounts related to its derivative portfolio.
Of course, this would have had a bearing because they were aware of this issue. We actually, there was some inkling towards the issue, and I think I don't know what is the rationale for them to give me 1 year, but I think they're uncomfortable with the way my leadership skills of running the bank is, and we have to respect that.
That's the word coming in from Sumant Katpalia in the analyst call yesterday. Just keep an eye out on a couple of these stocks which are moving higher right now. We have Trent. Yesterday was among the top Nifty losers. Now the stock's recovered from the lows. It's been, 1 day down, 1 day up for that stock itself. It's moved to the high point of trade right now. Bharti Airtel, that's been doing well. This month it's up around 5.5% in an otherwise wobbly market. That stock's moved once again to the high point of trade. But the stock under pressure is Star Health. Yash joins us to tell us what exactly is triggering this move. Yesterday, Yash, you were talking about who the IRDAI chairman could be. You wore your spectacles, and now for this move, you've removed your spectacles. Tell us what exactly is triggered this move.
Well, it was, when there was uncertainty, of course, it was required that possibly having a different vision to see through that. But here, when 100%. There's clarity, that's not required. What has happened with Star, to come to that point, is that overnight there was a communication from Ahmedabad Hospitals and Nursing Association. What they practically said is that they are suspending all cashless services which are being given to two health insurance companies. One is Star Health Insurance and the other one is Tata AIG General Insurance. What that does is that the policy holders of these two insurance companies, whenever they get admitted to a hospital, their claims won't be settled on a cashless basis, but it will only be done on a reimbursement basis. A few reasons have been cited by Ahmedabad Hospitals Association for this particular move. They say unjustified deductions, low charges reimbursed, non-renewal of tariff rates and one-sided blacklisting of hospitals. All these, culminating to the decision of suspending cashless treatments as far as policyholders of Star and Tata AIG are concerned. Now, largely, if you already have a policy with Star or Tata AIG, of course, it does not have a bearing, or it has a limited bearing to the point of you not getting a cashless treatment at Ahmedabad hospitals. But it is more of a negative for prospective policyholders who are looking to buy health insurance policy. The new business with Star or Tata AIG could have acquired, because then these policyholders also tend to think that if cashless treatments is not being given by hospitals of these insurance companies, let us switch or let us buy health insurance policies of an insurer where there is no problem with cashless treatments. That uncertainty comes on the future business, and hence Star is down today, and hence it's a negative for both companies, particularly the listed one, that is Star Health Insurance.
Indeed, Yash. Thanks a lot for that update. And moving on then, HEG is the other stock in focus, and that is because they've announced some value unlocking proposals. Nigel is joining in with more on that. Nigel.
Well, that's right. HEG has proposed value unlocking in Bhilwara Energy, in which the current listed entity has around 49%. The remaining 51% is with the promoter entity. Now, BEL has approved fundraise of up to 500 crores. Singularity AMC is the one that will be picking up most of this, with focus on accelerating its energy transition businesses. That's what HEG wants to do. Remember, Singularity, well, it's backed by noted investor Mr. Madhu Kela. Singularity AMC will hold close to around 9.6% stake in Bhilwara Energy for the initial 250 crores. But they have an option to invest another 250 crores. And due to this particular transaction, HEG's stake in the company, that's Bhilwara Energy, will come down from around 49% to around 44.3%. As per the earlier scheme that was announced, BEL, which is Bhilwara Energy Limited, will be merged in HEG Limited, and HEG Limited will now house the green as well as the renewable energy part of the business. The demerged entity will house the current core business, which is the graphite electrode business. The promoter's stake in HEG Limited, which will house this green and renewable energy business, out there, HEG will now hold close to around, the promoter stake will be close to around 60.6%. Earlier, it was proposed that they'll hold close to around 70% stake in this particular company. So put all this together, some value unlocking in BEL, which is Bhilwara Energy Limited. The street likes it, explains why the stock is up 5%.
Take that point, Nigel. Thank you so much for that. That's HEG up 5%. What we'll do is take a short break, come back, getting more on the markets and a lot of other stocks which are buzzing around.
Welcome back. Absolutely flat on the index, but there are plenty of movers within the broader markets, and they are the ones that are making news other than IndusInd Bank. Of course, Sapphire Foods is one of them, 7.5% lower on the stock now, and it was supposed to be having an analyst meet yesterday and some others in a few days time as well. So 7.5% lower on Sapphire Foods. The capital market linked names continue to take a bit of a plunge as well. Nuvama Wealth is down 6%. And as is BSC, that continues to take a bit of a nosedive. It was down 5% yesterday. It's down another 5% in today's session. Mind you, the stock is in the F&O ban today, so no positions, no new positions, of course, in the stock. But BSC, another 5% today, 3,800 on the stock now, below that level of 4,000. And of course, Zomato, that the new Nifty inclusion that will begin trading on the index towards the later part of the month, and that too is down another 4.5% today, but it is ensuring that it is not breaking that level of 200, still holding on to that level. Today's low to 199.8, and it has reversed slightly from that level. We are speaking of the capital market linked names. Of course, we spoke of Nuvama Wealth, BSC, of course, a lot of others like Angel One, CDSL. All of them are in the spotlight, and that is because the latest data is showing that the addition in demat accounts is slowing down. Vamakshi is joining in with more details on that. Vamakshi.
Well, yes, Hormaz, the rate at which the demat accounts were getting added has slowed down now. When we look at the data, total demat accounts registered with both CDSL as well as NSDL stood at 19.04 crores in the month of February. When we compare it to the month of Jan, this is an increase of 22.6 lakh demat accounts. Now, when we look at the pace of addition, however, it has slowed down. When we compare it to the number of accounts that were added in Jan, it's a decline of almost 20%. On a year-on-year basis, the decline is much sharper, down almost 48%. So therefore, this has been the slowest demat addition that we've seen in a month since May of 2023. Now, just to give you a backdrop about the trend that we've been seeing, in May 2023, the new demat accounts added stood at 21 lakh. It peaked out somewhere around Jan 2024, where 46.8 lakh demat accounts were added. And over the last 2 months, that is in Jan as well as in Feb, the pace at which these new accounts were added definitely slowed down a bit. Now, what are the factors largely contributing to this? Number one is the correction in the equity markets. Keep in mind that the Nifty itself has corrected over 15% from the highs that we saw in September. The pain in the broader markets is much higher, of course. Other than that, the stricter F&O norms also came into picture, and that has impacted the overall industry volumes and therefore has a bearing on this as well. And the number of IPOs as well that are coming to the market have also declined, so that also impacts this to an extent. So overall, which stocks get impacted? Well, it's Angel One, 5 Paisa, Motilal Oswal, some brokers like this, and CDSL itself also in focus on the back of this news flow.
Take that point. Thank you so much, Vamakshi, for this. Meanwhile, keep an eye out on AB Fashion and Retail. That stock's moved to the high point of trade, doing well today. We have Nippon Life India as well, which is now surged. It's about 3% right now. And a large part of the gains have actually come by in just the last half an hour or so. If you notice from the lows, Nippon Life has actually rallied about 7.5 odd percent. And we also see some traction in names like United Spirits, which was Mitesh's buy call yesterday, yesterday to book profits today, and United Spirits has moved to the high point of trade as well. But Adani Ports is the stock on our radar. Macquarie says the company is well positioned to capitalize on India's long-term growth potential. What does it imply? Sudarshan joins in with more. Sudarshan.
So I have three companies on which that brokerage notes have come in today, and the first one is Nifty company, that is Adani Ports. Macquarie has initiated coverage on the company with an outperform call, and target is 1500 per share. And remember, stock has gained nearly almost 10% from recent lows, and Macquarie says that it's well positioned to capitalize on India's long-term growth potential, and its diversified port and cargo mix supports the resilience. Also, integrated nature of logistics offering should aid further customer lock-in. Now, apart from Macquarie's statement, remember that 11 month of FY25, company has reported cargo volume of 409 million tons. Now, for FY25, its guidance that is in the range of 460 to 480 million tons. So, as of 11 month, that is as of February, the number that company has reported is much below the guidance, because to achieve the guidance in the month of March, it has to do almost 60 to 70 million tons of cargo volumes. That we'll have to see how much company reports. Another stock is Scott's Kubota, that CLSA has come out with a note. It has an outperform call, and target is 3805 per share. Now, CLSA has written the note after it has met the management of Kubota Japan. Kubota Japan says that it's positive on growth outlook for Indian tractor industry even for FY26. As per Kubota Japan, FY26 tractor industry growth is seen in the range of 6 to 7%, and that would be after FY25 growth that industry is expecting again in the range of 6 to 7%. So if in FY26 also tractor industry sees growth of 6 to 7% on the base of 6 to 7% in FY25, it would be a healthy growth. Also, it's expected to gain market share with the launch of FarmTrack brand. It expects to gain the market share to 13% from current level of 11.5%. Lastly, CLSA has returned persistent. It has updated the stock to high conviction outperform, and here target is 9,267 per share, and that implies an upside of almost 50% from current levels. And what it says it sees AI sparking a new tech cycle, and that's going to benefit almost majority of the IT companies, especially Persistent and in Nifty, TCS.
Indeed, Sudarshan, thanks a lot for that. Interestingly, Adani Ports, one of those names that Sudarshan mentioned, is a consensus buy. The list of analysts that who cover the stock, 18 of them, all of them have a buy rating on Adani Ports. But sticking to technology and IT and related sectors, Tata Communications is one stock that is bucking the trend in what has been an otherwise wobbly market so far, and that comes on the back of an upgrade, or a double upgrade for that matter, from ICICI Securities. Rima is joining in with more on that. Rima.
Indeed. So ICICI Securities has double upgraded Tata Communication to a buy from a hold. Target price stands at 1840. Risk reward, according to them, is compelling. That's because of the kind of free cash flow that the company is generating in the core connectivity business, and even the digital services potential is undervalued by the market right now. Remember, the stock has taken a hit. It's down more than 32% from its recent high. Now, they're saying the data revenue business was hit in FY24 on account of the Red Sea issues. But now that is resolved, and the order book for the company is in double digits. So that portfolio is going to do well. Also, in terms of the core connectivity business, they think the free cash flow is going to be to the tune of 3,300 crore, and that is pretty substantial. Now, yes, the company had laid out very ambitious plans by the end of FY27. It was a 4-year plan that the company laid out in FY23. They wanted to double their data revenue from 14,000 to 28,000. That the company says, ICICI Securities says looks ambition. It's unlikely they're going to meet it. The target may have to be pushed forward by 1.5 years. But on the other metrics, like on their guidance on margins, the guidance on debt, the guidance on their return ratios, that is more or less likely to be achieved. So there's a sharp focus by the company on capital allocation without compromising on the growth investment. So ICICI Securities is quite bullish now on Tata Communications after the recent correction.
Take that point, Rima. Thank you so much for that. That's about Tata Communications, up around 7.5%. Before we slip into a short break, a bunch of stocks which are doing well once again. Chennai Petro is one of them, up around 8.5%. We're seeing some traction in a bunch of these, textile names as well. Himmat Singh Ka Seth, for instance, is up around 6%. We have, all the other textile companies which are spiking as well. So just keep an eye out on the markets. Even as, there are more number of stocks which are declining than the number of stocks which are advancing. The ones which are advancing in terms of quantum have a lot higher gains. So big gains coming in for a lot of these names. Chennai Petro, one of them. ICICI Securities, we had Pamakshi speak about how demat accounts have been, the growth has been slower out there, but ICICI Securities has actually moved off lows and has moved to the high point of trade on that one too. But let's get you some market opinion. Earlier today, we spoke with Morgan Stanley's India equity strategist Ridham Desai, and he said that the Indian fundamentals are actually improving and the market may be at a turning point. Listen in.
In February, a policy pivot, which I will say is one of the biggest in my career, going back 35 years. The RBI has put a three-pronged correction, cutting interest rates, committing itself to liquidity, and also starting to lift the regulatory burden on the banking sector. The RBI policy is sweet. The market has just ignored this, what I call as policy pivot. India's policy environment today is far more certain than the rest of the world put together, whether it's US, Europe, or China. So you want to buy this policy certainty, and I think investors will buy it. Our retail investors get it. And I suspect that February may have been record inflows. And a lot of people have been quizzing me about when will retail give up. And I've got tired of saying this, they won't. Now, if you look at the foreign portfolio position in India, they are the most underweight they've been on Indian equities ever. And most importantly, India is now a low beta market, unlike the past. So if you go back 10, 15 years, India used to be a market which had a beta of more than 1. And for your listeners, that means that India used to go up or down a lot more than the world. Now, if the world is in a trickier position than it has been for many years, the likelihood is that India will outperform. India is like consumer staple stocks. It will outperform a bear market in the world. It is very hard to time the bottom. I have no idea whether it's a bottom or not. What I know is that stocks are looking attractive, and in time this may prove to be a good time to engage. There's a lot of uncertainty around. It's a lot less than the uncertainty we experienced during COVID. But during COVID, one of the things I had read in my life, which was of great use to me, was that the point of maximum uncertainty is also equal to the point of maximum return. I think India will beat these markets.
India will outperform.
Yeah, and I think small and mid caps will do quite well into the next few months. Maybe they go down first a little bit more before they turn around. Retail is not going to give up because this is a shift in the balance sheet allocation that got underway in 2015. Again, because of a major policy shift, the only time foreigners can buy is one of the two happens. Either domestic starts selling. They won't at these levels. You put share prices higher, they will. So foreigners will have to pay a lot more to get in. Or the third player comes in, which is corporate issuers. Because net inflow into the market is what you get in terms of issuances minus buybacks. So that is your net inflow. So if corporate issuances take off, then foreigners can buy those issuances and they can participate. Otherwise, expecting that foreigners will buy without domestic selling ain't happening.
The big takeaway from that, retail is not giving up. They are not throwing in the towel. They'll remain resilient and they should hopefully be rewarded as well. By the way, the market still flat as flat can be. We spoke a lot about the losers. So let's look at some of the names that are bucking the trend. Mangalam spoke of Chennai Petro. Indegene is one of them. That too has surged to the highest point of the day now, 8.5% higher there as well. And that too is among the top performers on the Nifty 500 index. We just heard from Rima on Tata Communications with the double upgrade that it had received. The other one that's doing well is Tube Investments, and that too has received an upgrade today from Avendus Sparks, and that is the result why the stock is up 6% in today's trading session. So good going for Tube Investments as well. And since HEG is doing well for itself, no prizes for guessing. Graphite India too is moving at a similar quantum, 4.5% higher on Graphite India as well. But with that, we call time on this edition of Halftime Report. From Mangalam, me and the team that put this show together, thank you so much for watching. Business Lunch for the next 30 minutes.